Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pardon My German. My name's Michael. Thank you for watching. And today we're going back to Normandy, the second part of our series on Normandy. And if it gets a bit emotional in times, then it's because of the subject, because we're going to visit some of the sites of D-Day. Um, like here we have a cannon in front of the D-Day Museum in the city of Arromanches. We're going to visit, among others, this site here, Pointe du Hoc, and we're going to have a look at the two of the big military cemeteries. This one, the German one in Cambe, and here the American one in Colleville-sur-Mer. And that, of course, raised a lot of thoughts on my mind that I would like to share with you, and some of it will delve into the history of the Second World War and a little bit into my family's history as well. So let's go then. Here we are on Gold Beach, one of the British landing sites. In the background, you see what appears to be remaining parts of Mulberry Bee Harbour. Mulberry was the code word for prefabricated harbours, two of which were built as portable units in Britain during preparation of the invasion. These harbours were necessary as along the landing area there was no port with sufficient depth of water for the large ships carrying millions of men, vehicles and supplies. Mulberry Bee was in use for 10 months, and an important factor in the success of Allied operations. In the town of Arromanches, along the beach, we had a much closer look at some remaining parts of Mulberry Bee. There is also a museum dedicated to D-Day in the town of Arromanches. Due to time constraints, however, we didn't go inside. During our first visit to Normandy, I spotted a road sign pointing towards a place named Pointe du Hoc, which I had never heard of before. So we went there. It turned out Pointe du Hoc is a rock overlooking the channel. It was the site of a German battery which might have threatened both Omaha Beach as well as Utah Beach. The rock was taken by men of the 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalions early during D-Day. Well, let's share a few thoughts about the cemeteries. This is a shot of the German cemetery in Lacombe. And here we have the American cemetery in Colleville-sur-Mer. And one huge difference that I noticed is that here at Lacombe, the grave sites bear not only the date of death, but also the birth date of the soldiers who have been buried there. Quite in contrast to that, here in Colville, the grave sites bear only the date of death. I'm not sure if that's the case on all American military cemeteries, but I've seen that same thing at the American cemetery in Belgium, at Henri Chapelle. So I reckon it's probably usual that American military cemeteries, they don't give away the birth date, but only the date of death. And as you walk along these graves here in Lacombe, there is one thing that's striking when you look at these names and the dates. There's a lot of very young kids buried there. You see a lot of guys buried there who were 19, 18, some even just 17. And it immediately makes you wonder, at least it made me wonder, what kind of person was I when I was 17, 18, 19 years old? And the answer was pretty easy. I was a kid. And I've yet to meet, say, an 18-year-old. Of course, nowadays, at age 18, you're legally considered an adult. But I've yet to meet an 18-year-old that I would consider a grown man, least of all myself. Of course, here in Colville, um, it doesn't take much gray matter up here to realize that the young men who were buried here were also far from retirement age. But it's not quite that obvious if the birth date is not given away. So that was one of the big differences. And it made me wonder, how could it be that there were so many teenage soldiers on the German side killed in the battle in Normandy? And I have a theory. I can't prove it. Maybe there's some historians out there who can correct me if I'm wrong, or who can verify what I'm saying. But what I remembered visiting this cemetery and wondering why there's so many teenagers buried here, I remembered that there was, before the invasion, there was a deception operation called Operation Fortitude, which sort of faked an upcoming invasion across the Strait of Dover. And apparently it was so successful that the Germans were convinced that an invasion would be coming across the Strait of Dover and the Pas de Calais. Hitler, in particular, when Hitler was told of the invasion going on in Normandy, he allegedly said something like, "This is just a fake. The real invasion will come at the Pas de Calais." So could it be that Germany had stationed its more experienced units further north around the Pas de Calais and had a lot of units therefore stationed in Normandy that were made up by freshly recruited young men? I keep wondering, it's my theory, maybe it was the cause why so many teenagers are buried at Lacombe. I had been made aware of this German cemetery at Lacombe by an elderly friend of mine. Along with other young police officers, he had done some work in the cemetery as part of their training. As I was walking along these graves in Lacombe, another thought crossed my mind. Here is a picture of my grandfather and me about a year before he passed away. During the war, he was stationed in Norway. And as I have mentioned Operation Fortitude already, there was a northern part of that operation faking an upcoming invasion of Norway from Scotland. And that part allegedly was so successful that Germany kept some units in Norway which already had been planned to be sent to France to reinforce German defenses there. Now, of course, I don't know if my grandfather's unit would have been among those. However, at that cemetery, I wondered if it was the success of Operation Fortitude that ultimately saved my granddad's life, which of course gave me the chance to meet a man who to me was the most wonderful granddad a boy could wish for. The American cemetery in Colleville-sur-Mer is quite a contrast to the German one.
Artifacts still washing up. Metal guns, rifles, bullets.
The aforementioned contrast, I think, reflects the different nature of commemoration on these two sides. I would most definitely recommend visiting some of these places while in Normandy. A trip to Normandy without at least touching this aspect of the region is an incomplete trip. Finally, another thought that crossed my mind while visiting the landing sites there in Normandy was this incredible contrast of the history and the gorgeous landscape, like here at Pointe du Hoc. Well, here we have a view from the American Cemetery down to Omaha Beach. The landscape is just enchanting. Um, and here's the Bay of Arromanches, and uh, and then you consider that this landscape has seen so much death, so much suffering, and once you consider that, then you realize that there's a lot of beautiful places in this earth that have seen such suffering, and well, it leaves you with a somewhat negative impression on the human nature. How come that we have places that are gorgeous and still have seen so much bloodshed? But then I realized something else, something to the contrary, because just as probably every place on earth has seen suffering and has seen bloodshed, of course, what holds just as true is that there is hardly any place on earth, or probably no place on earth, that has never heard the giggling and laughing of children playing, that has never seen a young couple embrace, that has never seen a grandfather or grandmother tussling the hair of a grandchild. So that holds just as true. So then I think maybe the world isn't as bad a place after all. Maybe it's a much better place than we sometimes think it is. So with that, let's end today's video. Like I said, if it got a bit too emotional, I'm sorry, but it's an emotional topic. And if you like the video, then please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you again pretty soon. Bye bye.